Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. Won't you share with a friend or two? Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning to you. You. Good morning. Good morning to you. And many more, and many more, and many more. Good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome, welcome, welcome to Daring Dialogues Black Table Talk Edition. I am your host today, Shantae Charles. It is season 15 and episode 12. We are excited because we have gained some new followers here on our Black Table Talk page. So I want to say welcome, welcome, welcome to new followers. Please make sure that you go right to the top of the page where the items are pinned, get to know a little bit about me as I run the page, get to know a little bit about the guidelines for being on this page, and pay attention to the thread of things that will get you blocked. Now, we do not do a lot of fanfare around blocking people unless you are being really, really disrespectful. And then we just make an example out of you and you become content. But we would hope that if you're on our page that we won't have to block you, but we will if we have to. So please make sure that you check up at the top the thread that says things that will get you blocked. That's generally um, kind of our housekeeping for this page. All right. I notice there's a lot of people that are new, and I get it. You're new to the page, you're looking around, you are trying to figure out the culture of the page and those kind of things. That little thread there will get you really quickly into the culture of the page so you can kind of know what not to do. All right. Some of you, I try not to police people's language. You're going to say and speak the way you want to. However, on my page, I would prefer if you don't use excessive amounts of profanity because people do use my page. Children use my page. Schools use the information on my page. So just be mindful of that when you're down in the comments going to town on whoever you're going to town on. And of course, no angry reacts. Most people know by now that angry reacts pull down your content. They will actually start suppressing your content or hiding your content. And so, because some of the things that we're sharing really are important and we want it to reach far and wide, that is why we ask you not to angry react. So, good morning to those of you who will come in. Good morning to those of you who will catch the replay, or good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're going to start out with some daily motivations for African American success. This is coming from Dennis Kimbrough's devotional for Black Americans. I highly, highly recommend it. It has been very, very encouraging and inspiring and insightful. He shares a quote from a person in Black history or even a living person, and then he'll go into an anecdotal story, and then he ends with an affirmation for the day. So today's word is dial 911. Daryl Stingley, activist for the physically challenged, said, "After my daily therapy, the pain in my legs feels good. It gives me hope that one day I'll be able to walk." If you could have one wish, what would it be? High on the list would be just give me a life without pain. However, upon a closer look, you may want to think twice. The following story, which ran in a local newspaper nearly 30 years ago, demonstrates the challenges associated with a life totally free of pain. Little Barbara Smith, born in Dayton, Ohio, almost never cried. She didn't cry when she fell down. She didn't cry when she bumped her head. She didn't even cry when she burned her hand or cut her finger. She cried only when she was hungry or angry. Doctors soon discovered that she had a defect within her central nervous system for which there is no known cure. The child could not feel pain. Medical experts told her mother that she must constantly watch her baby in the event that Barbara might break a bone and continue to play on it before it could be properly set, or cut herself without knowing it. Spanking her to make her wary of life's inadvertent dangers would do the girl little good because she couldn't feel the spanking. Life without pain was perpetually dangerous for this child. A life without pain is apparently not the Creator's intention. We will always experience the bumps and bruises of life. Only the abnormal never hurt. Success, by its very nature, demands a period of overcoming, a process by which we become strong in broken places. So, as you continue to chase your dream and find yourself battered and bruised along the way, don't quit. Moments like these will pass. Just mentally dial 911 and replenish your soul. I acknowledge that pain is natural and I will overcome it. All right. And again, good morning to those who are coming in. And so that was very interesting. What happens when a person cannot feel any pain at all? It becomes a dangerous life. All right. So pain is one of those responses of the body that doesn't feel good, right? But it lets us know that we are alive and well. All right. We are getting into a new book. This is the ending week, so to speak, of Women's History Month, but never the end of women making history. And we're going to be looking at this book here. She Changed the World. She Changed the World. Now, many people have, I think, seen this illustrator's work online, but this is a whole book of her illustrated images. Her name is Karen Hallian. Most of you have you've probably seen these online in some shape or form. And the woman that we're looking at today, we're going to look at two women, but this is the first one. Someone you might not know about. Her name is Faye Waddleton. Faye Waddleton. As we said, we wanted to try to introduce you this month to some women that you might not know. And her name is Faye Waddleton. She was a nurse. She was a nurse and midwife, and she is still living at the time of this writing. Have you ever been afraid to make a decision out of fear that someone you care about, or even people you don't, won't like what you choose? You are not alone. As a pioneer for women's reproductive health, a multi-award winner, and a voice for the holistic health of women, Faith Waddleton has advocated for everyone's right to choose without fear or judgment. Although many parts of Faye's life growing up in segregated St. Louis, Missouri, where she was raised by a mother who was a minister, seemed predetermined by her religious background, race, and gender, she was committed to preserving her right to choose how she lived her life. Waddleton graduated from high school at the age of 15 and started college in Ohio the very next year. Her first big choice was her career path. In college and continuing on in graduate school at Columbia University, she trained to become a nurse and studied maternal and infant care so she could dedicate her life to helping others. As Faye worked to provide health services to communities in need and improve access to reproductive and family planning resources for low-income women and women of color, she understood that her patients didn't need her judgment. They just needed her understanding, compassion, and care. Of course, she encountered vocal and often violent resistance to her views. Her mother wasn't keen on her choices either. But Waddleton believes that neither race, income, nor gender should rob a person of the right to choose what they do in any area of their life including how, when, or if they start a family. Faye has continually chosen to lean into her power and direct her own path. She has received 12 honorary doctoral degrees and was not only the first African American president of Planned Parenthood, she was also the youngest and the first woman president since its complicated yet noteworthy founder, Margaret Sanger. Throughout much of history, women have been unable to make decisions for themselves, let alone carry them through. And sadly, there are still many women who miss out on their dreams due to the pressures of everyone else. It's challenging to believe in yourself and enjoy your life if you're never given a chance to choose how you're going to live it. Waddleton's choice to fight for what she believes has allowed millions of people their own choice to make. Her work encourages us that we shouldn't be silent when it comes to our own destiny. There are plenty of people who use their right to choose to push back against the value of her goal. But Faye reminds us that every time we choose what is right for ourselves, we take the wheel. Thank you, Faye Waddleton, for teaching us that we all deserve to choose. So that is Faye Waddleton. All right. Here is another. Now, I have heard of the other young lady, but I have not heard of her. So let's take a look. This is Josephine Holloway. Josephine Holloway. Josephine Holloway was a Girl Scout leader. Josephine Groves Holloway is best known for her leadership in desegregating the Girl Scouts of Middle Tennessee. She endured many injustices to create Nashville's first black Girl Scout troop, Troop 200, in 1942. However, her determination to create scouting opportunities for girls of color began decades earlier. Though it was rare at the time for women of color to have access to higher education, Holloway graduated from Fisk University in 1923. She began working with at-risk women and girls of color at a nearby community center called the Bethlehem Center. During this time, the Girl Scouts was gaining popularity across the country as the first group of its kind that empowered girls to learn new skills, experience outdoor adventures, and give back to their communities. However, segregation laws at the time made it difficult for girls of color to participate. Refusing to take no for an answer, Holloway attended a special training session so she could share Girl Scout inspired activities and form unofficial troops with the girls at the Bethlehem Center. Sadly, Josephine was forced to resign from her role when she married in 1925 because the director of the center argued she would no longer be able to fulfill her work duties as a married woman. Instead, Holloway went back to school, earned a second bachelor's degree in business, and had three daughters. But she never gave up her passion for scouting. In 1933, when her oldest daughter turned 6, Holloway applied to start a troop for black girls in Nashville. However, because of segregation laws, the Nashville Girl Scout Council denied Josephine's request, saying it was too costly to operate separate facilities for black troops. Undeterred, Holloway formed an unofficial troops for black girls throughout the 1930s, using a copy of the actual Girl Scout handbook to do so. She endured in her fight for racial equality, and in 1942, her hard work finally paid off with the creation of Troop 200 in Nashville. Furthermore, a year later, the unofficial troops Josephine had established were finally authorized as authentic troops. Thanks to Holloway, the Girl Scouts of the USA finally recognized that to live up to its name, it needed to serve all girls. As such, in 1952, when many state parks still unjustly denied entrance to African Americans, the organization recognized Holloway's leadership by naming a special summer camp in her honor for black girls in Millersville, Tennessee. Today, Camp Holloway is a place for girls of all backgrounds to come together and experience outdoor adventure and activities while making new friends. The Girl Scouts greatly influenced my own childhood, the writer says, introducing me to new experiences and friendships. My troop went on fun field trips like camping in the woods. We made our own campfires, we toasted s'mores, and a special overnight visit to the Boston Science Museum, where we snuggled in sleeping bags and listened to the sounds of insects and other creatures. The Girl Scouts widened my world and gave me the confidence to try new things. I still remember my sense of accomplishment when I felt I earned a new badge or came back from selling cookies in my neighborhood with a sheet full of orders. Josephine Holloway endured many obstacles to ensure that not just some girls, but all girls would have this same experience. In 2019, a historical marker honoring her important service was permanently installed near the Girl Scouts of Middle Tennessee's council headquarters in Nashville. There, people can gather to reflect on Holloway's legacy and her strength to endure injustice in order to create equality for all girls who wish to be Girl Scouts. All right. And our final read for today, and as we do that, just a reminder, in case you needed a sign, somebody said, I need a sign today. Here's your sign. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for you. All right, our last person for today is Hattie Carthen. Hattie Carthen. Hattie Carthen. And good morning to those of you coming in. Hattie Carthen is known as an activist, but let's see what area her activism was in. At a young age, Hattie Carthen began making the trip from her home in Long Island to Brooklyn, New York for church on Sundays. It was a long trip without a lot to keep Hattie occupied, so she made friends with the trees she passed along the way. Hattie had no idea that one day her love of trees would help revitalize an entire neighborhood. In 1953, Hattie relocated to a brownstone apartment in the Bed-Stuy section of Brooklyn. Her block was a beautiful tree-lined street, which suited Hattie just fine. As the years passed, though, her community began to deteriorate. By 1964, racial injustice was rampant, and New York City seemed to have forgotten all about Bed-Stuy. Street lights were left broken, potholes went unfixed, litter was gathering, and the trees grew sick and died. Hattie understood the importance of healthy trees in the neighborhood. They did more than provide shade or friendship. She knew trees improved air quality and protected against cold winds, and that their leaves prevented rainwater from causing flooding. But a tree's job doesn't stop there. Neighborhoods with an abundance of trees have lower crime rates, and residents tend to feel less hopeless and anxious. Hattie wanted all those benefits for her neighbors and aimed to reclaim and revitalize her community by planting trees. Unfortunately, money was scarce and Hattie's early fundraising attempts failed. That didn't stop her though. She organized a group of people from her neighborhood to form a block association. And in 1965, they hosted their first fundraising event, a neighborhood cookout. At $1.25 per person, equivalent to about $10 today, the group collected enough money to buy 4 trees. Hattie was inspired. The following year, Hattie wrote what she described as a love letter to then New York City Mayor John Lindsay, inviting him to the next barbecue to raise awareness for her cause, and he accepted. Not long after, Hattie's reputation had grown, and the New York City Parks Department offered the Block Association 6 trees for every 4 that they planted. Hattie's determination and passion had finally been recognized, but she didn't stop there. She founded the Bed-Stuy Beautification Committee, oversaw 100 block associations, and was responsible for planting more than 1,500 trees throughout her community. She also implemented the Tree Corps to teach children how to garden and care for trees. One of her simpler techniques, throwing water balloons filled with seeds into vacant lots, revitalized once barren eyesores into vibrant spaces. When Hattie learned that 3 abandoned brownstones, along with a beautiful Magnolia grandiflora, a rare tree that had been planted nearly 100 years earlier, were slated for demolition, she stepped up again. Hattie saved the tree and it became landmarked, which made it only the second living landmark in New York City. When the magnolia saved, Hattie's attention turned toward the brownstones, which she hoped to convert into a nature center. Hattie intended to buy the brownstones, but at $25,000, which would be equivalent to around 150,000 today. The purchase seemed impossible. Unfazed, Hattie pleaded her case to the Board of Estimate and convinced them to reduce the price of the brownstone to $1,200, and the center became a reality. The magnolia still stands proudly along with the brownstones, one of which houses the Magnolia Tree Earth Center that Hattie had envisioned. And inspired by her work, the New York City Parks Department began Operation Green Thumb, which continues to transform vacant lots into community gardens today. With a love for trees in her community, Hattie not only succeeded in revitalizing her neighborhood, but she inspired others to do the same. Hattie's dream lives on. Did you know about her? I was over there. I was over there about 2 summers ago, and I didn't know anything about her, never heard of her. So, I hope you learned something new today. I hope you will take this information and do a little bit more digging for yourself. And now we are going to open up for some discussion. Today, I just want to talk about Black people, Black power, and our achievements. I know we have a whole bunch of other stuff going on right now, but I don't want to talk about them. There are lots of posts on my page about them. I don't want to talk about them today. All right? So, if you want to respond to today's readings, if you want to respond to the women, meet us over at our Black Table Talk Facebook page. That's where we're going to be chopping it up. And if you are already there on our Black Table Talk Facebook page, you can hit the double person icon and I will bring you on. I want to thank you, those of you watching by YouTube. I want to thank you for your time and your attention. Remember, light is the most daring opposition to darkness, so continue to go out and be light. All right? Take care, be well, and we'll see you tomorrow, hopefully. All right.